Well, hello and welcome to another September edition of Cord Cutting Today. It is the 11th today, and thanks for tuning in. If this is your first time visiting the channel, well, on Wednesdays we wear pink. Actually, no, our very own Jess hosts a live Q&A session with our subscribers. Meanwhile, we also do topical deep dives on Thursdays, and then on Fridays, like today, we wrap up a week's worth of cord cutting and streaming news for you. And today we're going to talk about the return of the NFL, new hardware options from Sling TV, a bunch of new info on Microsoft's next-gen Xbox consoles, and more. And don't forget, we also have a news website, cordcuttersnews.com, where you can stay up to date on all the latest news. And all the stories we're going to talk about today, they'll have links to them in the video description down below, so you can head over to our site and read more about each topic. And now with all of that established, let's talk about some news. And let's start with some football. And in case you haven't heard, this week marks the start of the 2020 NFL regular season. And we focused on the new season in a video earlier this week, which we'll link to in the video description down below, of course. But beyond that, we also have extensive coverage on our news website, cordcuttersnews.com. You can check out our Week 1 coverage where we break down upcoming games and how to watch them without cable. And we also discuss Thursday night games, including Amazon Prime's deal to live stream most Thursday games via their Prime Video service. And again, you can check that all out on our website and stay tuned for more coverage throughout the season. It's going to be interesting to see how yet another pro league handles putting on a season in the middle of a pandemic, and we'll keep you up to date on all the latest changes and announcements as they come up. Next up, it's good news for all of you PBS fans out there. This week saw the announcement that viewers in several areas around the country have the ability to live stream their local PBS stations for free. At the moment, it looks like around 85 stations are now available, but more should be added to the list in the future. That live stream feature is available on browsers like Chrome, Safari, Firefox, and Edge, and you can also tune in via the PBS video channel on Roku devices, Apple TV, and iOS and Android devices. And on your screen right now is the current list of stations that are available, along with the cities and markets they serve. So feel free to check out the list and see if your local station is covered yet. And if it isn't on the list, don't fret. Like we said, more local stations should be added to the list over time. In the meantime, you can also check out the full list in our post over at cordcuttersnews.com, and you'll find a link to that, again, in the video description down below. In ISP news, we have a rather peculiar story about Earthlink. If that name sounds familiar, you might remember the company being a big presence during the dial-up internet years. And if you thought they disappeared, well, they haven't, and they're not happy that Charter has been allegedly telling customers they've gone out of business. In fact, Earthlink filed a complaint this week with the Supreme Court of the state of New York, claiming that Charter engaged in a campaign of deception. Earthlink says Charter is trying to convince customers to switch to Charter ahead of the end of a contractual relationship between the two companies. The company says Charter has been telling Earthlink customers that the ISP is out of business and that Charter has taken it over, among other claims. We'll of course keep a close eye on this complaint and how it unfolds in the coming months, but I think the main takeaway at this point is yes, Earthlink is still very much in business. In any case, stay tuned. This could be an interesting case to follow. In new hardware news, Sling TV announced the newest member of its AirTV line of devices. It's called the AirTV Anywhere, and it's designed to serve as a Wi-Fi hub with a built-in DVR, or digital video recorder. According to Sling, the AirTV Anywhere boasts a 1 terabyte hard drive that should get you around 150 hours of local HD content, and you can also access Sling's cloud-based DVR content as well. And if you want to know more about cloud DVRs or hard drive-based options, we've published videos recently that cover both those topics, and we'll have links to those other videos in case you're interested. As for the AirTV, it also boasts 4 over-the-air tuners and integration with Sling's live TV streaming service. If you're interested, the AirTV Anywhere is now available for $199.99 or a hair under $200 over at airtv.net. In other hardware news, Microsoft released a whole bunch of details about its upcoming next-gen consoles this week. Now, some of that info came out a little earlier than the company perhaps expected, when rumors of the lower-cost Xbox Series S price started leaking out over Labor Day, and then the Xbox Twitter account responded late Monday night to confirm that yes, the lower-end Series S would indeed retail for $299. And then later in the week, the higher-end Series X got some attention as well, as Microsoft announced a $499 price tag for the more powerful console. And for those curious about either one, the $499 Series X is meant as a top-tier 4K gaming machine with powerful hardware inside. Meanwhile, the $299 Series S is designed to offer the same games but without an emphasis on 4K resolutions. In fact, the specs suggest that Microsoft is targeting 1440p resolution and then upscaling to display on 4K TVs. So basically, if you want to play next-gen Xbox games, but you don't really care about native 4K resolution, well, there you go. And those lower demands don't require the same amount of cooling and airflow as the Series X, so the S console is considerably smaller, around 60% smaller, according to Microsoft. One other interesting bit of news that came out this week was the announcement of a 2-year financing plan if you want either console. Instead of paying $300 or $500 upfront, the all-access plans start at $24.99 per month for 24 months. That gets you a Series S and a monthly subscription to the Xbox Game Pass service that offers access to tons of games. If you want the Series X, the monthly price jumps to $34.99 per month. And you can click the link down below to read more about pricing info, including some of the math we've done comparing the upfront cost versus these new finance plans. As for streaming capabilities of these new consoles, we haven't heard specifics about app support just yet, but it's fairly safe to assume these new consoles will support the same apps and services as current hardware. Perhaps not right away at launch, but likely not long after either. Still, there's plenty more to learn about these new consoles, including the rival PlayStation 5, so stay tuned for more. In streaming app news, Vizio announced that its SmartCast TVs now support the Apple TV app. And to celebrate, the company is offering out 3 months of Apple TV Plus. That offer is good for all Vizio SmartCast TVs from 2016 onward, and the deal expires on October 16th. So if you're a Vizio user out there, heads up, you've got another streaming app to choose from. And you can read more about the details on the Apple TV Plus offer in the post linked down below in the video description. Next up, we're now a week removed from the big Mulan premiere on Disney+, and various analysts and industry veterans are still considering different ways to evaluate whether the release was a success or not. To recap, the live-action version of Mulan was supposed to release in movie theaters earlier this year, but of course COVID-19 forced theater owners to close up shop for several months. And now, here in September, Disney's decided to experiment a bit and see how many folks would be willing to pay $30 to stream the movie on its Disney Plus streaming service. Well, Apptopia looked at the number of app downloads as a way to gauge overall interest in the movie and compared it to previous big releases like Hamilton. Its data showed that there were around 674,000 downloads for the Disney Plus mobile app during Mulan's premiere weekend, including about 400,000 or so here in the US. And how does that compare to Hamilton? Well, Apptopia says that film brought in 780,000 downloads, of which 458,000 were in the US. Of course, Hamilton didn't carry a premium price when it launched on the service, and app downloads don't directly mean those folks for sure streamed Mulan, but the metric could be a solid indicator of general interest. In any case, it'll be intriguing to see what, if any, official numbers Disney offers about its Premier Access experiment, and whether or not it'll attempt something similar in the future. For now, though, anyone out there catch the film on its opening weekend? And if Disney does opt for more premium access pricing moving forward, what kinds of films and other content do you think would be worth paying more for? Feel free to let us know in the comment section down below. Okay, next up, this post is a bit of sponsored content, so as always, let's go over what that means exactly. So with all sponsored content on this channel, all opinions remain our own. And as long as we're clear about that, let's talk about Stir, shall we? So Stir is celebrating Halloween a bit early this year with a marathon it's calling Slasher Saturdays. The scares start at 5 a.m. Eastern on Saturday, September 12th with killer clowns from outer space, and you can catch more cult classics and horror staples throughout the day. And here's a full schedule in case you're interested, and as noted, all the times listed here are for the Eastern time zone. And if you want to know more, head over to our news website, cordcuttersnews.com. And finally, we have some TiVo news. The company announced that Stream 4K users now have access to Locast content in the markets that Locast currently serves. The company says that with the addition of these new channels, Stream 4K users now have access to over 140 free channels. And for those unfamiliar with it, Locast offers up free access to local channels in various markets, so you get live local news, weather, sports, and other interests. As for which areas are included, well, here's a list of current markets, and they include some major metro areas like Dallas, Los Angeles, New York, and more. If you're a Stream 4K user in one of those areas, feel free to give it a spin and let us know about your experience in the comment section down below. And that brings us to the end of another week here at Cord Cutting Today. As always, thank you so much for tuning in, and if you haven't already, we wouldn't mind one bit if you click the like and or subscribe buttons down below. You'll be joining a great community, but you'll also be helping us create more content in the future. For now though, I hope you all have a safe and wonderful weekend, and for those of you like me on the West Coast, I'd recommend keeping a close eye on those air quality reports and stay safe out there. In any case, my name is Philip Lermo. Happy streaming. Take care.